Hello and welcome to Manila Storytellers. I am your host, Canapi. Where would Metro Manila be at this point in time if it weren't for our fandoms and geekdoms? It could be anything. I mean, it could be Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Doctor Who, Dr. Pimple Popper, Big Bang Theory, or whatever. I mean, we have been defined by our fandoms and geekdoms for God knows since Voltes 5 up to Johnny Bravo up to whatever you can think of right now. Especially at this point in time with COVID 19 forcing us to stay at home, our fandoms and our likes and interests have been more important. Okay, so with that out of the way, our guest for today is would you call a big figure in the geek community here in Manila, if not the entire Philippines. He is the person behind Nerd Age PH, among other hats that he wears. Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Arcega.
Hi B, I'm all good. Quite thankfully quite busy with work, with the upcoming TV show and a lot of other projects. But yeah, it's a good problem, but
It is.
yeah, otherwise good naman.
Ever since I first met you, I've always known that you were a man of many, 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 many hats. So, for those who are not acquainted with your particular resume, can you please introduce yourself?
All right. So my name is Adrian Arcega, and I am currently the creative director of Hypertime Creative, based here in the south of Metro Manila. So we do video production, creative stuff, music videos, AVPs, the whole works, and graphic design and all of that. We also we assist It's Happening events for their visual requirements for their digital events and all that. So there's that, and I also am the singer, guitarist, creative director of the band Stereo Deal under Warner Music Philippines.
So, aside from Stereo Deal, why we're here in the first place is because of Nerd Age and your dedication to giving geek culture spaces to, you know,
Mm.
spaces to, unfold and be themselves and giving people voices. So, how do you, when did you start Nerd Age? Or when did you start being involved with the bigger geek communities in Metro Manila?
Well, with Nerd Rage, I founded Nerd Rage around 2017. Actually, the germ was already there in 2016 when I was still with Radio Republic, or when Radio Republic was still up and running. In Radio Republic, I was the content editor and editor in chief, and de facto art director and whatever. And we were trying to diversify at the time to come up with different shows to cater not just to musicians but to the greater lifestyle in general, para to bring people from different communities to get together with music as a common thread. But Radio Republic closed down at the end of 2016 due to matters beyond our control. And one of the plans was to have a geek show. May pangalan na, Nerd Rage. Thank you, Carlo Casas, for giving the name. And it was supposed to be me and Aaron Cristobal of Spit. But yun nga, hindi natuloy, and I figured months later, might as well push through with it, do something with it, and bahala na what happens from there. So I got together with a friend of mine, si Valine Aquino, and yeah, we did these parang online content sa YouTube, shot videos of us sa ToyCon and all that, and shot more videos, shot more content. Eventually, sumama sa partnership namin, a good friend of mine, my band's manager, si BJ David. And we did a lot of activities. We were live streaming at the end of convention days. Yung mga ganun, araw-araw during conventions, we would live stream and hang out at the media room. And we'll talk to other, mga other colleagues or compatriots or contemporaries in the geek scene, be they geek media or personalities, whatever. Ganon. We were already live streaming. And I guess work got in the way na mas napapadala yung live streams at the time. This was around 2018.
Yeah.
Mas napapadala yung live streams and I was getting too busy so hindi ako makagawa ng content. Eventually, si BJ and Sabalin left because they wanted to do their own stuff and I was left to do my thing. So, syempre, all the more pressure to keep that channel growing and all that. Naging motivation din siya for me to set up the website for Nerd Rage PH. So the website is nerdrageph.com. So January this year, it was already up and I wanted to to show more geek news. But I didn't want Nerd Rage ever since we started Nerd Rage. I never wanted Nerd Rage to be just your usual geek news thing because we get geek news everywhere. So
Yes.
I wanted Nerd Rage PH to have a Filipino slant, to have meaning to it. Tapos, ayun, this quarantine happened, and
Yeah.
I decided to do more shows in it conveniently because actually Nerd Rage was supposed to have this event para siyang activation, not just activation, but a convention, a geek convention this year called Nerd Fest. And we were supposed to have this guy dito sa kanan ko, si Brandon Routh. He was supposed to come here. But a funny thing then, he was still gung-ho about going, pero kami na mismo yung nagsabi, nope, we'll have to cancel because we do not want to be potentially responsible for killing of Superman.
Actually,
so we canceled the event.
Brandon Root was supposed to come over.
Yeah. You're already in talks with him. And kami na yung nag-cancel sa kanya. And because we canceled him, syempre, sponsors and potential investors would, wala na. They'll go, or they went na, okay, so di siya pupunta, wala mo na sponsor, wala mo na investment, blah, blah. And that's, and tuloy-tuloy, and we had to cancel the event. Pero nung April, someone brought up the idea na since Comic-Con had its online convention, why not have Nerdfest go online too? So I had Nerdfest online, which was 2 consecutive days of Q&A and panel sessions, 1 entire weekend. Grabe yun, marathon talaga na every other hour meron akong ini-interview ng mga tao, tuloy-tuloy. And something happened along the way and I realized na parang, hey, this is a good way to have spin-offs off of it. Kasi ang ganda ng mga conversations eh. And again, this was about giving meaning to the geek community. It wasn't just about talking about geekhood and all that, but going through deep diving through the layers of geekery, what makes communities, what creates quote-unquote geeks, what are the potential pitfalls of being a fan. Because syempre, pag fan ka, you're blinded by certain things. So your objectivity, if it at all exists, it becomes suspect. Yung mga ganong klaseng conversations. Also, of course, I had, for example, yung creators of the sci-fi film Alimuom. So we talked about having a Pinoy sci-fi film. What is Pinoy sci-fi in the first place? Bakit tayo nahihirapan magkaroon ng sci-fi films? If at all, if we have some superheroes in Philippine cinema, medyo, walang depth, walang meaning to it. Bakit ganon? Mga ganong klaseng conversations. I also had online panels with geeks and cosplayers who happened to be COVID first responders or COVID frontliners.
Napanood ko yun.
Nagkaroon ng...
I watched that one.
Ang saya. Thanks. And how did you find it?
I found it engaging. I watched a couple of videos. I actually watched the first live stream you were doing, technical issues and all, hanggang sa you finally got it going. So ako engaged naman ako. Nakakatawa where everybody was. Na, for example, I don't remember specific people already, but for example, one of your panelists was right outside his house. One of them, yung isa doon po siya, hindi inayos yung likod po, may walis, nandun yung kalan, yung mga ganon. And yet, once they all start talking, wala na. Engage ka na. Kasi, maski even at the height of the pandemic quarantine, the uncertainty of the times, once you started talking about their passions and stuff, nagkalimutan na ng problema. Biglang lock in na. And ayan, I
Mm.
also saw, as what you mentioned, I also saw that feature on, what do you call these, geek fans na responders. Then, I know I watched two
Mm.
more. And wala,
Mm.
I totally love that pivot that you did there. Amazing, amazing. Wait, one last. Before
Yeah.
I want to mention this na baka makalimutan ko eh. Inspiration for me doing this webcast, honestly, came from what you did for Nerdfest. When I saw that you put
Mm.
it up, parang inisip ko, maybe I can also do this for the communities that I like, communities that I represent. And it took me how many months, but ito na tayo. So, thank you for this, Adrian. Yun,
Oh, thank you. Thank
I
you,
knew
B.
it.
Thanks.
Okay, you did mention kanina na yung the need to give space, the need to take Nerd Rage PH into something beyond just another geek site. Eh. So what do you mean by that?
I don't know if it's the result of aging or the result of my current foray into graduate school. Because technically AWOL ako sa MA ko sa film in UP. So syempre being being an
Ay nako,
MA,
Adrian. Ay nako.
ang premium is on interpolating yourself
Mm.
and being a more conscientious creator. So, kasi training nga sa MA is being a criticism. So, kasama dun self-criticism as an artist and being deliberate about what you're doing. So, I guess both age and that, napasok ko sa pagiging geek. And it did make me question myself. No? Parang, what's the point in geekhood? Are we just products of consumerist society, a consumer system. After all, all these toys behind me, accumulating toys and posters, hoarding these things for trophies, it makes you wonder parang what's the point of all this? On the other hand, from a personal standpoint, yung pusa ko, kinakalmot ako. Sandali Hoy, masakit yun. Sorry. Nakakalong sa akin. Gagalaw lang yung kamay ko, kakalmutin ako. Thanks, girl! Minsan ka na nga
Okay.
lang may kutsyon, palaban
Yan.
ka pa. Anyway, sorry about that.
Nope.
Anyway, I've been questioning myself as a fan, as a geek, but at the same time, from a personal standpoint, being surrounded by these things gives me comfort. And for better or for worse, my sense of identity has been tied to these things since I was a child. Because I grew up in the early 80s where pop culture was really exploding like hell. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
We had Star Wars and He-Man and Superman and all these cartoons that we love watching.
Transformers
Tapos
and
on the
G.I.
Japanese side,
Joe.
ang dami rin lumalabas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, G.I. Joe, Bioman, Maskman,
Man.
ang daming lumalabas. And sure, the 90s happened and everybody our age shifted to trying to be cool and angsty because grunge and all that. Pero ngayon tumanda na tayo. Sorry. Ngayon nagka-edad na tayo ng kaunti. Yan. Ngayon nagka-edad na tayo ng kaunti. We find ourselves being nostalgic about our childhood. Hence, the proliferation of these conventions, of these toys, or collectibles geared towards people our age na may pambayad. Now we are the ones with purchasing power.
Yes.
This our generation of man children or yung mga ganun. I don't know what's a proper word for that kasi I want to be gender neutral, but you know
I'm totally fine with man child or woman child or person child. But I totally get it. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, di ba?
Oh.
There's that reading that if you go through yung mindset ni na Debord at ni Jean Baudrillard, who are theorists and who have postulated na there's a lot about our current culture that blinds us into a simulation of reality na hindi naman totoo. And yung generation natin, sanay na tayo nababalutan tayo na simulation of this reality with all these pop culture things. But so because of all that, yun nga, parang it's made me question. So I'm trying to tread that line myself, para between being a fan and a geek and being a conscientious adult. So ang hirap. So I wanted to bring that kind of interpellation and questioning to the geek community. So Nerd Rage is somehow angling towards that. So every time I have my interview, I don't ask parang the usual fanboy questions. I always like diving deep and questioning the interviewer about what they're doing. So in the sense na nung nagkaroon ako ng panel for cosplayers who are also COVID-19 frontliners, nagkaroon ng bagong dimension ng pagiging geek. Kasi parang hindi lang sila nagpapasaya and all that. Pinakitaan din natin na they are being heroes for real. Not just in costume, pretend heroes, but really working on being literal heroes. And yung gusto ko sa mga na-interview ko, one notable person was si Dranzer. Si Dranzer Dice. And nurse siya sa San Juan Medical. San Juan! Of all places in Metro Manila, San Juan. The really hard-hit place. Na-move ako sa motivation niya kasi he derives his joy out of cosplaying. And what kept him going was the thought na dadating na dito yung shipment niya of cosplay stuff.
Wow.
So, hindi siya matinag. He kept his optimism through his geekery, through his love for cosplay. So, as much as we'd like to accuse pop culture of reducing us to consumerist man-children zombies, there's an aspect of geekery that keeps us going. It's the story behind heroes prevailing, being your own hero, that motivates people to forge on. And yung mga ganong bagay yung gusto kong malinawan yung geek community na hindi lang tayo nagpapakasaya palagi. There's a bigger world and we have a role in it. So yun, mga ganong conversations, hindi man necessarily nagiging obvious, but I always make it a point to have that aspect in every show, every interview I get.
I just wanna go back sa that particular panel that you talk, yung cosplayers doing frontliners. So I was watching that, and yes, aside from being incredibly moved, bakit ba yan? I was thinking, this is not a topic that I would have expected from a geek convention. And I felt, but at the same time, I felt that it was, one, something that needed to be addressed, and two, I guess what really sets Nerd Rage apart. Like you said, I would have never expected to see that from any other portal, and then you went there, and it was something else. Okay. Kamusta na ba? Yeah, okay. But how kamusta na ba yung the geek culture in Metro Manila? Is it what state is it in at this point? Are we more discerning about how we support? Are we still stuck at a certain level?
Well, I guess regardless of location naman, I think one thing na napansin ko is that geeks have always been reliant on the internet, and now especially more so. Communication happens through the internet, like this. We're on Zoom. Chats, shares, engagement online, happy ang social media companies with all this. That's where we get to connect, and that's where we get our news. Thankfully, there are other institutions that have placed their events online. Even San Diego Comic Con went online instead of live for obvious reasons. So talaga nag-upload sila ng mga pre-recorded panels, mga ganun. Interestingly enough, ang maganda sa San Diego Comic Con, of course, online. So wala ni the big usual Hollywood reveals, diba? Yun yung iniintay ng mass media sa San Diego Comic Con palagi. But one thing I realized with San Diego Comic Con this year is that because nawala yung mga fluff ng Hollywood, ang naiwan were the types of panels that have always been in San Diego Comic Con but people neglected. I've never been to San Diego Comic Con, but I'm friends with people who've been there. And there were panels about feminist theory in comic books or LGBTQ discourse in modern superhero cinema. Yung mga ganong klaseng usapan.
Nice.
It's always been there. It's always been there in San Diego. Yung tipong pagpuno na yung Hall H, hindi ka na makapasok. May mga iba pang maliliit na panels in other rooms. And you can go there. So yung if you watch Chasing Amy, I guess you're familiar with Chasing Amy.
I am familiar with Chasing Amy because I'm a...
Yeah.
We're the same age.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you saw that panel, di ba, in that convention na na the African American guy, the comic book creator, was talking about how Star Wars is racist, di ba ganun. It's a caricature of such panels in comic book conventions, but there are panels like that. Nakita natin ngayon, kung titignan natin yung YouTube account ng San Diego Comic Con, ang meaty ng mga panels. Sure, may occasional Q&A with the cast members of The Boys or whoever. But if you look at the rest of the panel, parang how to make indie comics, yung mga ganun. Something very productive and helpful sa comic book community. So I want to bring that into the local scene. I want more of that. I'm surprised na wala pang enough na ganun. And I'm surprised na it's only, diba? I'm surprised that it's only sina Comic-Con who have been really doing that. So I'm trying to do my part. But I hope more people do it, to be honest. It doesn't have to be me. I'm doing it because no one else is. Except for, again, the ones I've mentioned.
Yeah, which is weird though, because a few years back, I guess 2015, 16, 17, there was another convention that I'm just not going to mention by name dito. But you know the one. The big one that they were doing in SMX and the Netflix tie-ups and stuff. Tapos biglang naglaho na lang.
I say it killed their event kasi similar na concept except that they had deeper oil-based pockets.
Oil-based? Interesting. Kaya natin hindi ma-mention yung pangalan.
Hindi na public knowledge naman yan. Public knowledge naman.
Well, okay.
It was oil financed. But yun lang. But even I liked what they did. It was very San Diego Comic Con as we knew it on the surface. And I liked that they were bringing in artists also to give workshops and all that. I really appreciated it. I appreciated that they also brought celebrities, although I just hope the Q&As were better. You know what was the best geek event that I've really been to na involving a foreign personality?
See, which one?
It was the Neil Gaiman event at Music Museum, which my mom helped organize back when she was with the British Council.
Wait,
not the Neil Gaiman event in Rockwell. It was directly moderated by Erwin Romulo and Ramon de Vera yata. Pero yun, it was organized by the British Council, or co-organized by the British Council. And what I liked about that Q&A panel was that, well, one, of course, Neil Gaiman was a great storyteller. Pero yung mga tao na nandoon were asking really great questions. Not just about his creative process, but about feminist readings and all that. I have that on video somewhere. Kaso mini DV so I need to have it converted. But I've always wanted more of that. And I've always wanted that in our local geek events. And hanggang ngayon, dream ko na magkaroon ng ganun. That's why minsan, about ToyCon, and I love the ToyCon people. They're good friends of ours. Minsan, pag may mga guests sila, tapos nandun ako sa audience, and there's a chance for me to ask really hard-hitting questions, I go straight for the jugular. I remember nung si Dean Cain yung nandito, I'm a Superman fan. I asked, 2017 na to so si Trump was already president and Dean Cain's Republican. So I really asked him what is the role of a Superman into these polarizing times. So si Dean Cain natigilan. He gave a very conscientious answer. Then of course a few months later we saw him go on a political meltdown on Twitter, which was sad for me as a Superman fan, but such is life. Pero yun, I want to ask the really hard-hitting questions. Even with my guests, I do that. Like last Wednesday, I had yung stuntman ni Ben Affleck from Batman v Superman and Justice League.
Yeah.
We had a live stream interview session, and I did ask him about the difficulties of being a stuntman, and how is it being one, and managing through, especially now na wala akong trabaho. So I go there, ask them that, ask for tips then what he can advise our local stuntmen. Kasi yung stuntmen natin talaga ngayon are in dire straits, di ba? Parang ang ganda din sinuggest niya, parang stuntmen have to learn pre-visualization, which means they'll have to learn how to shoot, how to edit, how to do visual effects. Kasi dun ka makakapag-prepare ng action scenes, and doon mapapakita yung proof of concept to your directors. So it's a very easier and safe way to do your stunts. Of course, yung sa atin, we have problems with budget and all that. But it was very enlightening, and feeling ko marami tayong matututunan doon.
Do you think the current scene, the current geek scene is a little bit, shall we say, mababaw with regards to how it approaches its fandoms?
Yeah, well, I don't want to accuse the local geek scene of being shallow, kasi parang they're by virtue of maturity and exposure, there will always be only a certain set of people in any scene, whether it's the music scene or the geek scene, maybe even the political scene, na may level of self-awareness. But it's the self-aware people's responsibility to let others know. I guess I've been privileged enough to know my position or my role as an individual in this scene, and it's and hopefully in small steps, I can do something to help make it richer. Ang pop culture on its own can be argued na may kababawan naman talaga.
Okay.
Whether it's you watch sci-fi for the spaceships, or for the space battles, for the laser swords. You watch superheroes so that they can fly and fight. Tas may inherent power fantasy din siguro. But I guess I'm just trying to fulfill, or to fill my place, to fill my spot as a conscientious human being siguro. So, yung kababawan, hindi man siya masama. It can be so much more. Because pop culture has inspired technological development. So, may strength, may power ang pop culture in that regard. I mean, kung walang Star Trek, we wouldn't have had our initial Motorola mobile phones and yung current mobile phones that we have now. So, ang power ng pop culture to enact change means that we can use pop culture to help develop ourselves more. So, hindi lang to, how do you say this? Kumbaga, hindi lang tayo nagkukubli sa pagkukunwari, sa pagpe-pretend na superhero tayo.
So you mentioned Star Wars. Ano pa bang mga do you have other fandoms other than Star Wars, or is Star Wars the big one?
I have 3 major fandoms: Star Wars, DC Comics, specifically Superman.
Yes.
This poster.
Oh, Superman.
Ito na naman yung pusa ko. Kaanin na naman yung kamay ko. Star Wars, Superman, and Doctor Who. I'm one of the admins of the local Doctor Who fan club here.
I need to state when Adrian and Macy got married, it was Doctor Who themed.
Yes.
That was insane.
Actually, Macy wanted more of a Star Wars thing kasi yun yung common thread naming dalawa. One, all of our other friends did Star Wars weddings already. So parang we were all Star Wars out at this point.
Okay.
Kami ni Macy kasi we have a geek collectible business called Geekery. So we do shirts and we sell merchandise, legit merchandise, legit collectibles, and fan-made shirts. Yung malaking karamihan ng pera namin from that came from Doctor Who merchandise because Doctor Who became big again in the late 2010s. In the late 2000s, early 2010s. And for those who will be watching this who are not familiar with Doctor Who is yeah, Doctor Who. So Doctor Who is an alien time traveler from the planet Gallifrey, and he has
Cute!
2 hearts, and he travels around in a blue police box na nandun sa likod. He travels around in a blue police box, which is actually a time machine that's bigger on the inside.
Yes.
He goes through time and space, saving people. When he's not fighting enemies like this little thing. So, yun. Maganda kasi Doctor Who, unlike James Bond, it's all about machismo. Doctor Who is all about intellect and humanism.
Yes.
Which is ironic considering alien siya.
Weird.
So, I guess he's the closest that the British have to Superman in that sense of ideology. And Doctor Who just wants people to be better and to act better. And nice. Tapos, nagkaroon ng fandom dito. And in a sense, to pay tribute to that, plus, it was easy to make people dress up whatever they want in a Doctor Who themed wedding.
Okay.
Kasi since Doctor Who travels throughout time and space, you can dress up as whatever. Diba? So,
that's
yun,
correct. Nga, galing.
Yeah. So, may friend kami na pumunta as a katipunero. Another one came as an Aguinaldo faction person. Tapos Hank Sparrow, si Hank Valenzuela came as Hank Valenzuela, Hank Sparrow, because he's Hank.
Because he's Hank.
Yeah. So, yung anybody could dress up however they wanted. So, of course, I dressed up as the 10th Doctor. Si Macy dressed up as a bride. And may ganong connection there with Doctor Who because one of the Doctor's companions was dressed as a bride when she became a companion. So, yun. Plus, it was nice having the big police box ni Doctor Who in the wedding for a photo booth. Wait
a minute. Do you still have the TARDIS sa bahay? Yung malaking...
The TARDIS? Yeah. It's in our yard right now.
Easy.
Minsan nire-rent siya for events, pero for the past 2 years, walang nagre-rent. So, nandiyan lang sa yard namin. And it makes me feel good. Every time I go home, I just, alam mo, pagod ako, I feel bad. I look at it and I feel good. I guess because of the implication na every time you see the police box, the Doctor is there to, to make things better. So
last October 31, last year Halloween, I did a Tessa inspired, hindi naman team, a Tessa inspired tour around Intramuros called One Night in Intramuros. So basically, I took a rather large group of people, which was surprising for me, large group of people around Intramuros and telling the famous ghost stories of that place. At kasama ko si Adrian, Nerd Rage was there covering the event. Thank you for that. We had an experience now, Adrian. Wanna be tell that?
Kasi di ba we were walking around, we were telling the stories and all that. And okay, na-out ko na naman to sa isang podcast, so I can say, I guess I'm sensitive. I have the sight, although untrained. But a friend of mine, si Richie Ramos, is helping me with that now. So yun, we reached a certain intersection.
Yes.
Sumakit yung bato ko, umikot. Talagang really pounding, hindi siya migraine but ito sa pounding sensation. And then tumayo yung balahibo ko. And then nagtitigan tayo.
Okay. So my angle, okay.
Why?
I didn't have the discomfort I didn't experience that discomfort because I am what you could call sensitive, but I don't see, but I am sensitive and I am pretty accurate, weirdly enough. Anyway, there was this point na nagsasalita ko and I just yung habang nagtutur ako, katabi ko si Adrian at just biglang nagkaroon ng parang weird sensation like a wind that just kind of hits you. It's not too strong but you can feel it. Tapos bilang tumayo yung balahibo ko. Tapos napatingin ako kay Adrian. Kasi Adrian nakatingin din sa braso na. Tapos bilang nagtitigan kami ako talagang ay. That point, when that happened, that kind of forced me to detour and not go to a certain location that I was actually planning to bring the group to. Ay, liko tayo, liko.
Mhm.
Sabi yun. Also, ako,
Yeah.
that was fun. You came there because it was a 13 connected event there.
Yeah.
So, yun.
Yeah.
I
And you
think,
were doing your part in educating people.
yeah,
So, pasok pa rin yun sa what we want to do in Red Ridge.
okay. I mean, honestly, I didn't want to be the type of Halloween toy na nananakot lang. I kind of wanted to scare people by giving them scary facts. If that was something, which is still in line with what I've always been doing with WanderManila naman eh. But ito nakakatawa.
Yeah.
Okay, we talk about fandoms. That was the first time to actually meet the Tese fandom. Which natuwa ko na meron. May fandom ang Tese, which is so surprising. I mean,
Oo, grabe.
di ba parang may nag-cosplay. Doon ako nabaliw eh. May pumunta doon na nag-cosplay ng Kamban, nag-cosplay as Alex Tese, nag-cosplay bilang Tikbalang. Actually, dalawa pa nga yata yung Tikbalang. Ay, yun ang gusto kong makita for the local scene eh. I mean, we have fandoms for Marvel, for DC, for Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek, Transformers, G.I. Joe, so on and so forth. I'm not seeing fandoms for local products. Why do you think that is, Adrian?
If you want to talk about fandom per se, Filipinos tend to be very rabid fans. Just look at Ginebra and Daniel Padilla and Sharon, Vilma, Nora. Grabe
Yes.
ang expression ng fandom nila. Diba?
Yes.
So, meron, inherent na sa atin maging fanatics as we've known since 2016 or even earlier. For a lot of the local products, maybe it's just a matter of getting more people to know that there are other people like you. Because let's face it, regardless of the object of the fandom, whether it's a showbiz thing or a comic book thing or even a political thing, fandoms have always been about connecting people to other people like you. Kahit flat earther ka pa, a lot of yung flat earth a lot of that whole flat earth community naman has always been about trying to connect with people kasi marginalized ka. More people just have to know na, there are more fans of this thing and that thing. So that, halimbawa, ako 13 fan ako in, I don't know, kunwari Batanes, ganun. Tapos biglang nalaman ko may 13 fandom sa Tugigaraw. Uy, wow, I want to be part of that. Pero ngayon madali kasi may internet.
Oh.
So if you really are, if you really want to connect, ang dali ngayon mag-Facebook search. Kunwari 13 fan club or something. Lalabas yun. Dati nga, hindi pa nga Facebook eh. Before Facebook, we had Yahoo groups. And that's how the early fan groups survived.
Oh yeah,
Star Trek had their own Yahoo group.
Where do you want to take the geek community, the geek scene, the geek community moving forward? What else do you want to see happen to the community within the next couple of years?
I want the geek community to produce more dreamers to create and to change things. When I say change things, the geek community, shifting to being creators because they were so inspired by their fandom, they decided to create other maybe forms of storytelling, entertainment, whatever, or inspiring our politics, or inspiring our technology, our technological advancements. And that's why also nerdrageph.com features science news once in a while, para to add that level of inspiration. Paano ko ba ma-explain to? Parang usually, a lot of yung creators naman dito are fans of something. One of these guys dito sa litrato na to, our local Fab 4, di ba? So, I remember this guy, syempre hindi mo nakikita yung mukha, pero malalaman mo naman pag nakita mo yung letra. So, this guy, itong naka-lean na to, alam ko fan siya ng Star Wars, Spider-Man, and film in general. Tapos, Yung nasa dulo, tumbahista, major fan niya ng Doctor Who and all that. And we've seen them, wear their geekery on their sleeves by seeing their stickers on the guitar, being inspired in their songs sometimes. Diba? Yung mga ganun. We just want to see more dreamers come out, more creators. And doon naman nagagaling yun eh. If you're passionate about something, you will not just stop at being a fan. Sometimes you want to be like your heroes, and you make an effort to be like your heroes. To be honest, that was also my journey. I was a fan of Superman, Peter Parker, both journalists if you think about it.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing a bit of music journalism around 10 years ago. So, and I still do articles sometimes. And pag ganun, pag nagsusulat ako, feeling ko I'm living the Clark Kent dream of being a journalist. And I was an editor-in-chief for Radio Republic, so there was that aspect pa. So, other than that, Star Wars inspired me to be into filmmaking.
Okay.
For the longest time, happy na ako na nag-animate lang ako sa post because, technology and Star Wars. But na-realize ko na parang if George Lucas was able to do A New Hope with a very limited budget and very stubborn investors and lots of stress, which is the typical story of the filmmaker in this country.
Yes.
If George Lucas can do that, maybe I can too, somewhat. I may not be as rich as him, but I can at least move in that direction because at least I can get to create. So, yun, George Lucas there, and these heroes over here, nalaman ko, geeks din pala. So, parang nakahanap ako ng people to connect with. So, in a sense, parang na-validate yung mga person na gusto kong mangyari, mga hobbies ko, the things I want to express, the things I want to make happen. And I'm pretty sure a lot of fans feel the same. Kaya nga tayo may mga fan art eh. Marami mga artists dyan. And they do fan art as a form of expression of their fandom.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure a lot of them will go beyond fan art and being their own creators as well. So that's what I see happening. Of course, I'm being positive. Maraming mga counter-acting forces around us. We are in a time of quarantine, and we live in a world where demagogues are around us and all that.
Yes.
Yung mga stories that we love, Star Wars, Voltes 5, these are stories of people mounting revolutions, of people changing things for the better. If these small people can effect change, then so can we. That's the narrative that they're telling. Kaya nga medyo na-weird din ako pag meron kasing member kunwari sa Doctor Who fan group namin who was in the news for being a lawyer.
Okay.
For Tokhang. When I say for Tokhang, he sided with the Tokhang suspects.
Yeah. Okay.
With the police. So medyo hindi ko makitaan ng connection niya. But may dissonance. Minsan napapatanong ako, parang what makes a person be authoritarian kahit fan ka ng Star Wars or Doctor Who?
I think kasi the same people that keep saying na dapat wag mong haluan ng politics comics, for example. Not realizing that all your favorite comic titles like Superman and X-Men have always been political and will continue to be political by the nature of it. I am also confused on how people cannot see that correlation. Anyway.
Yun nga eh. And sasabihin nila parang, hindi naman ako magiging Superman. Hindi naman ako magkaka-super strength. Hello! Superman siya dahil sa values niya.
Oh.
Parang, it just so happened that he has superpowers, pero he was raised by farmers in the Midwest. So, working class hero siya.
He's an immigrant.
Pupunta siya sa city. He's an immigrant pa, di ba?
Superman was an alien who immigrated to the States. I mean, you tell me that's not political. Utang na loob.
Di ba? And raised by farmers in the Midwest, he goes to the city for a job and he works as a journalist. parang if we are given the power to do something, then we have to do something about it, whether it's protecting other people or educating other people or enacting change. Hindi pwedeng, hindi naman pwedeng parang, nag-enjoy lang ako. Kasi kung nag-enjoy ka lang, parang, what kind of person does that make you? Oo, mababaw. Sasabihin na, ayoko magpakalalim dito. Gusto ko lang naman mag-enjoy. Pero again, kung yun lang ang takeaway mo, kung escapism lang ang habol mo, then anong may dudulot mo sa society?
I dream of an age that most of us can be more mature about our points of view and everything else. I mean, ang babaw pa ng discourse at this point in time.
You just have to push. Kasi development doesn't happen overnight. Development happens by pushing things.
Oo.
Diba? We have to push back against whatever. Tapos dapat walang titinag. Tuloy-tuloy lang yan. Constant pressure. And, as science has proven with the rocks and everything in nature, constant pressure will do some change eventually. Pero we cannot stop.
Nerdfest, sure. Is it ever going to happen or we don't know yet?
As in all other events, we don't know yet. But it will happen if things get better. If it doesn't, then we'll have another Nerdfest online. May mga current paradigms naman that make it possible. Okay. Again, ang maganda sa internet ngayon, even if you want to get foreign guests, we can make it happen. May mga certain fees lang yung iba. Kasi
of course,
I actually tried having this guy for Nerdfest online, but at the time the talent agencies did not know what to make of it. Paano sila kikita? Syempre, they're all about that. How will they earn of the celebrity? But I think now they figured it out. That's why sa mga ibang online conventions, may mga appearances ng mga celebrities. Like, yung GalaxyCon sa States, merong pay $99 for 2 minutes with Brandon Routh or Katie Lutz.
What?
Yung mga ganun.
Yun yung Legends of Tomorrow panel.
Sorry? Yeah. Yung panel mismo libre, which is great. Normally, hindi. Pero kung gusto mo na one-on-one session, ayan, babayad ka ng $99.
For 2 minutes?
So, okay. Yeah.
Okay. I guess kung fan ka, sure, why not?
Yeah. Yun naman yung ultimately. Parang if you are really a fan and you want to meet that guy, great. Tapos, wala namang mawawala sa kanila. Online lang naman, di ba? So, I think now the agencies have figured it out. So, we'll see what's gonna happen next year. And ang maganda, all these other events groups, even ours, yung It's Happening events, we're all trying to, mix and match, come up with different solutions. And ito na naman nakakalmot na naman. Come up with different solutions. Okay. Kasi hindi na nakikita ng camera. Gusto ko sandalin yung camera. Ito yung, ayan.
Hello.
Hello, River.
Hello, River.
Grabe. Kanina pa niya sinasampal yung kamay ko. Buti sana kung yung sampal lang eh. Hindi, may kukoy. But anyway, yun. Parang, we'll see. I hope it happens. But it's more important for us to fight this pandemic.
Okay.
So, we have to solve this thing first. Okay. And then we can figure out the rest.
And with that, thank you very much, Adrian, for making time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
I really appreciate this to be. Thank you so much. It's my honor to be invited here. Thank you so much.
As always, please follow WanderManila's social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram. This show wouldn't be possible without Blender Media, our technical partner. Please follow them on Facebook and YouTube. Once again, this has been Canapi, and this has been Manila Storytellers. Live long and prosper. May the force be with you. Transform and roll out.